Welcome to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast with Dale and Jim, where the truth matters and progressives' feelings don't. We bring you the facts from the perspective of two average, everyday guys who will never apologize for being America first, for adhering to our great Constitution, and for saluting the flag that our brothers and sisters have fought and died for. And now, here's Dale and Jim.
Hello, Jimmy.
Hello, Dale. How are you doing?
I'm great.
Day.
Lovely day. I'm doing great. Absolutely. For those not watching and just listening, Jim is away today.
This is my new studio
today. Jim is traveling this week, so he brought all of his studio equipment with him so we can continue the show, and I appreciate that. So thank you for lugging all that stuff around with you.
No problem.
Yeah, it's a true professional, isn't it?
That's
how I see it.
Exactly what
true,
it is.
True professional. Welcome, everybody, to Two Guys, One Coup, episode 21.
Mm-hmm.
Very excited to get on with this show. We've got a lot to go over this week, as you can imagine. Everything is happening and blazing speeds around the country, political-wise. Not going to really review anything we're going to go over. We're just going to kind of get into the show today in the spirit of time. But again, we welcome everybody to the show. So let's get moving and get on with our first story. What do you think?
Perfect.
Good. Well, let's start off today. You may or may not have heard in the news every single day, maybe every single minute of every single day, how Ron Desantis, the governor of Florida, has taken away the special privileges of that poor little mouse at Walt Disney World, coining it, Mickey is a mouse, but Ron's a rat. Oh, I've seen that headline. Very clever of the progressive left to come up with that. Well, this all stems from, and we talked about it a couple shows ago, the parental rights bill that was signed into effect last month by Ron DeSantis, which states again, as a reminder, no school system can teach sexual orientation or sexual identity to kindergarten, first, second, and third graders. Okay?
And that includes heterosexual and homosexual. Everything.
You notice I didn't say
I know, but
gay.
People in San Francisco need to know that it was.
They need to know that's not the case. It's any sexual activity. So,
correct.
Having said that, Disney has chimed in since then. We know that as well. And mainly the CEOs, and mainly what I would say is a smaller portion of the employees.
What do you
say something, Jim?
Yeah, what do you think the stockholders are thinking right now?
Has their stocks plummet 40%?
Big time.
And everybody's canceling
Disney Plus.
Yep, exactly. Our favorite president in the world said, everything that's woke turns to shit. And that is the case here. Well, the CEO has chimed in, said that, of course, they're out in California, where it makes a lot of sense again.
Great state.
And that they are going to fight this bill. Yeah. So, in the spirit of Disney fighting the bill, Governor Ron DeSantis and the legislation in Florida has decided to take the special privileges away from Walt Disney. What does that mean? So, basically, in a nutshell, and to be brief about it, Disney wants its own entity, its own state in a way, where they could control their taxes, which they paid none to the state, where they can control their fire and policing and anything they want. They literally could build a nuclear power plant there without having to get approval from the state of Florida.
Yeah, the state taxes is what I was curious about, because a lot of times when you have businesses like that, they get tax breaks, or a
lot of them do.
No taxes.
No taxes. So, so they were awarded privileges that no other company in the state of Florida has ever been awarded. And this has gone on since 1967,
Mm-hmm.
So basically right around the time Disney decided to build the theme park in Orlando, the Orlando area, they've had this. So this has been going on and going on and going on. And so Ron DeSantis, who's an absolute genius,
yes,
and is not afraid to buck the system, that's
not
for
at
sure.
all.
And we have seen that, decided enough. If you want to interject yourself into politics, then guess what? You're going to fall under the rule of the state of Florida politically.
Yep.
And you're going to pay taxes, and you're no longer going to have these special privileges. So basically, this past Friday, Governor DeSantis signed the bill effectively terminating the Walt Disney Company's special tax district within which sits the theme park. The district allowed Disney to operate as a largely autonomous entity, according to the New York Post article. Now these privileges have been revoked and are gone. The legislation goes into effect June of 2023. So there's some time for this to, one, before everybody freaks out, either change. Okay. It can be reversed.
Right.
This can absolutely be reversed. And it also has time for Disney to maybe wake up a little bit and say, perhaps we shouldn't interfere with, for one, the teaching of sexual orientation to children, especially coming from a theme park that gears itself mainly to the youth in this country and around the world.
Yeah.
So just some things there. That partnership that developed early on with Walt Disney, this is a quote from Ron DeSantis, I don't think Walt would appreciate what's going on with this company right now, DeSantis said. Disney has made it increasingly clear over the past several years that they don't care if they completely alienate conservative consumers. I think we've seen that. And we've also recently seen the videos where the creators of the content for Disney are talking about interjecting more transsexuals, more homosexual content, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely. I want my children to watch cartoons.
Right.
I want my children, I want my grandchildren, I want all children to watch and enjoy cartoons without having any sexual message in there. Is that crazy to think that? Am I a lunatic? Am I a right-wing conspiracy guy? Or?
According to the woke, yeah, we're evil.
And not only that, but as I go on with this, isn't it ironic that progressive liberals used to be the champion for taxing big corporations, for not giving them tax abatements, for not giving them special privileges?
Right.
Those same lunatics are now against Ron DeSantis doing this. What's the word we use all the time?
Hypocrisy.
There you go. Hypocrisy, people. More left hypocrisy. If you disagree with transgenderism and you don't believe kids should be allowed to undergo permanent life-altering gender transitioning, Disney thinks you're a bigot. You're a bigot. The company made it clear on March 28th, the day DeSantis signed into law the Parental Rights Education Bill. Disney claimed the bill should never have passed and should never have been signed into law and suggested that it was discriminatory. Now, if you can tell me, maybe somebody in our audience can hit us up and tell us who it's discriminating against.
No one.
Could it potentially be discriminating against homosexuals?
No.
Could it potentially be discriminating against heterosexuals? Could it also be discriminating against parents who are for this bill?
Yes.
So let's be honest. Depending on what side of the fence you're on, it literally could be. But that's not the point. The point is that teachers should not teach our children.
No.
sexual orientation.
If a parent wants to teach their children about sexual orientation, completely up to them. If a parent wants to sit down and say to little Johnny, someday you might want to become little Susie, that's fine. Not my issue. It is an issue, but not my concern. What you do with your children is up to you. Now, we always have to constantly hear about, how we have to protect our children. We have to do this. Well, this, to me, is not protecting our children. What is the point of teaching a kindergarten through third grader anything about sexual orientation? Anything, whether it's hetero, homo, transgender, cross-dressers, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. It's up to the parent, not the teachers.
Not the teachers. There's always that argument that parents had at times with the teachers aren't teaching my kids well enough. That's why little Johnny isn't learning. It's the teacher's fault. And the teachers, to their credit, are always like, we need help from at home.
Yep.
We're with your child 8 hours a day. That's right. But they have assignments at home. Mm-hmm. They rely on parents as it was when you grew up, when I grew up. I remember sitting at the table, my parents helping me out with all sorts of assignments.
Couldn't go outside and play until homework was done.
Correct. But now all of a sudden, these same people want the teachers to teach you about any sexual thing they want to talk about.
Because they're all experts.
It's not. They're not just experts. It's perversion to me. I mean, listen.
It is. You said it a while back when we first started talking about this. That sometime you have to decide when this borderline, pedophilia in some ways, right? I mean,
correct.
Teaching a kid that I don't know.
Jim, you're not wrong.
I don't want a teacher teaching my child about men and women.
No.
And I don't want a man and man, woman and woman, or a man who become. That's not their place. Teach them math, teach them English, teach them science, teach them social studies. Not that.
Correct. And I'm pretty sure. I mean, I haven't gone to college in a while, but I'm pretty sure. And by the way, I do have a teaching degree. But I'm pretty sure that I didn't learn anatomy. I didn't learn the biology portion of sexual transgendering. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure I didn't learn any of that. Yeah. I was no expert to talk about it. I don't talk. We talk about it now in a way where it's a competition in sports. I know nothing about it. I don't know what people go through really. I don't know what the whole story is. I don't understand it. Let alone when I was 5 freaking years old. And Jesus God, I was 5 years old. I wanted to be an astronaut. That doesn't mean I knew how to fly a rocket. I wanted to be a baseball player. I wanted to be, this is just crazy. DeSantis responded to Disney's statement at the time, noting that the company had crossed the line, which they did.
Yep, they did.
He said, we're going to make sure we're fighting back when people are threatening our parents and threatening our kids. He's always been that guy.
Yep.
This should be no surprise to anybody. He said, for Disney to come out and put a statement and say that the bill should never pass and that they are going to actively work to repeal it, I think, 1, was fundamentally dishonest, but 2, I think it crossed the line. The state is governed by the interests of the people of the state of Florida. It is not based on the demands of California corporate executives.
Correct.
They do not run this state. They do not control this state. Bingo. Mm-hmm. Perfect answer.
Yep.
The CEOs up in California, Burbank, California, have no control over this damn state or the parents in this state or the people in this state. Hell, they can't run their own state out there. So for them to even think about trying to dictate what Ron DeSantis, who has thrived as governor of Florida, by the way, is really insane. But because of all that, Texas has jumped in. Not the Texas we all love and know.
Right.
A leader of a county near Houston is trying to convince Disney CEO in Texas that Texas is where the company belongs. So outside of Houston, wants to move it there. Fort Bend County Judge K.P. George last week sent Walt Disney CEO Bob Chapek a letter saying that his county would welcome a Disney theme park. The Democrat, oddly enough, also wrote to Twitter CEO Parag Agrawal. I don't know his name. Parag Agrawal. Pretty soon might be Elon Musk.
Soon to be Elon Musk.
Yeah, seeking to have the social media giant move to his county as well. Mm-hmm. So these are kind of just a couple things. I could wrap this up. George, the judge in Texas, Democrat, his quote, from Timon to Pumbaa to Tinkerbell, Disney characters are as diverse as Fort Bend County families. I welcome Disney to visit Fort Bend County as your next destination while you face attacks from the modern day political extremists like Ron DeSantis of Florida, he tweeted. Extremist.
Are we Tinkerbell's a pixie fairy. Timon and Pumbaa are animals. I think he might have been better if he would have talked about, the princesses, the princess.
Maybe.
Just saying,
even those little fellers that were with Snow White. Yeah, even those guys. I'll wrap this up by he wrote a letter to Chapek, so the CEO of Disney. And in it said, while you, your company, employees, and diverse fans face authoritarian, anti-business, and culture war attacks from extremists in Florida, we in Fort Bend are more than ready to welcome the Disney family. Well, I don't think that Disney is going to pick up and move out of Florida.
Have you seen it? You've been to Disney, right? We've all been to Disney World, right?
So, yeah, most people, I would think.
We're talking billions, right? Billions of dollars.
Billions
we're gonna reopen these theme parks. We're gonna move them. No, they're not. Yeah. Disney is going to work with DeSantis, and we're gonna come up with a stay out of the state's political field. We'll stay out of your business.
Correct.
That's what's going to happen.
That's what's going to happen.
They can't afford their. We're just hearing from, like you just said, a few people. When you start having people out there who don't agree with this and are losing a lot of money because people are turning from Disney, because this is what people do. And I just want to reiterate on it because we're running long here, but I want to reiterate this important thing. It's not just conservative parents that are fighting against this.
Thank you for bringing that up.
It's That's moderate
100% true.
Democrat parents. It is in some cases, progressive parents. Because again, how many times have we talked about in Virginia that Youngkin won with the help of liberal women?
Correct.
Who don't want their kids. They just want their kids to be taught things they should be taught in school. That's it. Math.
As should be.
Right. Exactly.
As should be. I mean, it's absolutely.
And we shouldn't put any more pressure on teachers to teach this. I mean, it's they have enough stress as it is.
Correct. So. And it amazes me, Jim, that the teachers' unions, not the union. Yeah. It amazes me that teachers aren't coming out speaking more about this. But again, they probably fear for their jobs, or they fear for it's going to take tenured teachers to really step up and come out and they will. And I'm not saying that some haven't, but on top of that, it's going to have to be parents, and it's going to be the voting base, and it's going to have to be the supporters of people of Disney that make the most impact by not getting Disney Plus, by not going to their parks. Disney's threatening to take away what they have, a locals discount for the state. If you live in the state of Florida, you have like a locals discount. I live in the state of Florida. I've never used it. So I'm just saying. Right. But anyways, that's what's going on there. I'm sure more to come on this story. I think we can wrap it up by saying what you said is correct, that Disney's going to cave. DeSantis is going to work with them. It's all going to be fine. But right now, it's what I call the DeSantis factor. Anything he does is going to get blown out of proportion by the progressive left because of their fear that he is the guy in 2024. And right now, he's the guy in 2024.
Without question.
Without question. Jim, let's move on from here. You ready?
Yep. Okay. Dale.
Yes, sir.
We haven't talked about this subject a lot since we started our podcast, but I saw a story as I was perusing through. Yes, we go to CNN, MSNBC, and all of that, but, you won't find stories like this. Yeah, isn't that funny? Yeah. You won't find this kind of story on those stations, but on Fox News, though, every once in a while they come through, right? So,
right.
All these climate change advocates, okay? The ones we always listen to, the ones that think
stable group
we listen to. Yeah, the normal people
stable
live in homes, and they live a way that they don't. Their footprint for carbon footprint is none.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So how many times do we have to talk about when Dems wanted us to wear masks, but whenever you saw them at a party or anything else, no one was wearing a mask?
Well, every time.
Right. So do as I say, not as I do. Right.
Correct.
Okay. Yep. Now I give Mark Ruffalo. I think he's crazy.
He's a lunatic.
But I give him credit because he's calling out certain people. Because we talk a good game, we do this, we do that. So
before you go on,
okay,
I can tell mainly when I look at Mark Ruffalo that he probably is not using a lot of soap products and a lot of hair dyes and gels, and he really is, I think, living. I'll give him credit.
Yes.
He, I think, for one, is trying to do what he's preaching.
Yes.
The guy's an absolute nut job, but go on.
Yeah. No, and you are exactly right. If you want to live that way and you want to preach that way, hey, all the power to you. I respect that. Soldier. Go for it. I'm not, because I'll recycle. I'll turn off my lights before I go out the door. I won't waste water. I will do those.
But I will get my SUV then and leave.
Bingo. And I don't want the fossil fuels to keep going up. I want those fossil fuels.
I love fossil fuels.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are favorite people, right? First of all, I hate the royal family anyway, but this kind of, Okay. Yeah. So now, here's kind of what Prince Harry says. With kids growing up in today's world, pretty depressing, right? Depending on where you live, your home country is either on fire, or either underwater. Okay. Houses or forests are being flattened. Wow. Okay. Well, maybe is it too soon to say Ukraine? Is it too soon to say Ukraine?
Maybe Ukraine.
Now, Harry did this on the great Oprah Winfrey show. Everybody, the liberal spokesperson, that type of person.
And if my house was on fire, I'd want it underwater. But go on.
Exactly. I don't see the problem. But
sorry. Go on.
So he also added, climate change is really playing a huge part in this, as well as social media, and we just don't. I know lots of people out there are doing as best they can to try to fix these issues, but the whole sort of analogy and walking into the bathroom with a mop when the bath is overflowing, rather than just turning off the tap. If you wonder, I need somebody to translate, because apparently I don't understand British talk or something.
Was that Prince Harry?
That was Prince Harry again.
Kamala Harris.
I'll get to that. Just to let everyone know, in 2019, the couple flew by private jet to go on vacation to Ibiza, then to Nice, France. Harry conceded that no one is perfect regarding his private jet usage, but said, we all have a responsibility for our own individual impact. It was reported that his wife, Meghan Markle, wasn't bothered by the charges of hypocrisy.
Did they actually say hypocrisy? That's
our theme.
Yeah, and Meghan Markle wasn't bothered. Oh, that's good. That's good.
AOC.
Oh,
the Green New Deal. Oh, the world is just terrible. All of these.
Yep.
Oh my God, it's bad. It's terrible. We're gonna. I think a quote that she said was in my favorite. The world is going to end in 12 years. She said this in 2019.
It was already supposed to be ended, said Al Gore.
Yeah. Well, okay, but in 2019.
Yeah.
The New York Post noted that she locked in 66 airline transactions for her 2018 campaign, with only 18 Amtrak uses.
Oh.
And she here's
how does Amtrak even run? Like how do they is it electric Amtrak?
Here's a quote from AOC. I also fly and use AC. The Green New Deal is about putting a lot of people to work in developing new technologies, building new infrastructures, and getting us to 100% renewable energy.
Oh, come on.
Are you ever going to fly an electric plane? I'm not. Now, I think we should put the Dems on them and let them fly them.
Let them be the test pilots on the electric
That's
planes.
our form of abortion.
Yeah. All of a sudden, I have a new take on it. Yeah.
Amazon's Jeff Bezos. He previously donated billions of dollars to fight climate change, as well as starting the Bezos Earth Fund to research, though he did not comment about his use of his private jet.
Oh, okay. Not at all.
See, again, they want us to live this way.
Yes, they
don't
do.
have to.
Yes, they do.
So Michael Moore, same thing.
Yeah.
Flies off everywhere he goes to talk about all of this stuff. Leonardo DiCaprio.
That's right.
Plugging in. Mark Zuckerberg.
Who?
Yeah, the Facebook founder. He had. Anyway, however, get this.
Yeah.
He is interested in stopping climate change as something we can only do to global community, and we have to act together. Right? Because remember, our houses are under Zuckerberg. Our houses are underwater or on fire, depending where you live, apparently.
That's right.
And I'm sorry. But he soon faced backlash in 2019 after attending the Google Summit on climate change, where 114 private jets, several Maseratis, and mega yachts were reported to be.
How did they all get there? I mean, how they get there without fossil fuels? How is the jet made without fossil fuels? Or the yacht, or the Maserati.
John Kerry, the global climate czar, who's worried not about the Ukrainian people, but Putin's war is going to affect climate. Well, if he drops the bomb, I guarantee you it's going to affect the climate.
It sort of will. Yeah, of course it will.
So
it will affect something.
But he's put out so many emissions that he's put out more emissions than Nancy Pelosi has talking and that spew coming out of her mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but you've got the Al Gores of the world, right? You got Barack Obama. All of these people, they fly in their electric planes, and then they get in their electric limousines, and they go home to their completely energy sufficient homes.
Correct. Hut homes, basically.
All have solar panels on the roof and everything. And
oh wait,
no, they don't.
None of them do. Not a one.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, that's on climate change. I'm just these are. I could go into more detail about it, but the point of the matter is, folks, we don't know if climate change exists, to be honest with you, because the data that's being presented from the other side is missing data that goes against what they say.
Correct.
And we have people on our side, that say that it doesn't exist, that it's just cyclical, which I tend to agree, because we had an ice age. And when that ice age, and what really bothers me is when all of these barons, right, the Vanderbilts, Ford, when they built all the plants back then, and then it caused this global emission that caused the ice to. Oh wait, we didn't have industrial then, did we?
Yeah.
So
correct.
What caused the ice to melt?
Yeah.
the climate changed. Okay.
Dinosaur farts.
Well, yeah, because there was a lot of them. They were big, So, we did that. But, folks, I think it's cyclical. I don't, and because we're putting so much money into this stuff, and people are getting rich off of this stuff, but you don't hear about that. You hear about, the oil industry. Look how much money they're making. Mm-hmm. Well, how much money are these green energy making? How much is Leonardo DiCaprio making when he flies in his private jet, gets in his limousine, and goes to these shows to talk about how we, not him, but we need to change. Okay, we need to do this. We need to do that.
Correct.
I don't hear anybody complain. Well, we do, but I don't hear the left complaining about all the money they're making.
Correct.
Because most of the money given to the renewable energy is from the government.
Correct. That's right. That's right. Absolutely. And I don't know. I'm sure maybe Mitt Romney might agree with them. But I really don't know many conservatives or Republicans that come out for, climate change. Mm-hmm. Really, and it is a down the middle divided line, and I think rightfully so because of the fact that the science isn't there to prove that we're creating all of this.
Well, and for those,
it's not there.
For those people that are saying land is now visible where it wasn't before, I was taught that's erosion. Because now I can't. I
don't even know if that word exists anymore.
Did we have a bunch of Native Americans chiseling out the Grand Canyon?
I think we did.
Really? Is that how that was founded? Okay. Then I'm wrong.
Ask AOC. I bet you she'd tell you it is.
So look, I know we're making light of it, but this is when we were actually taught science in school and not how a man and a woman
become either
copulate or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, exactly.
But we were taught erosion.
Mm-hmm.
And so when people sit there and come up to me and say, well, beaches are filling in and, you're losing beaches. Well, yeah, over time, water's going to pull that sand out, right? So,
I mean, what do you, the world is 70% water.
Yeah.
I mean,
so,
more water than land. So you tell me.
Yeah, I don't, other than going back to maybe living like the Amish do. Okay. Maybe that might work. However, China's not going to do that. India's not going to do that. The two
Pakistan's not going to do that.
The two largest populated countries in this world.
Correct. They're
not going to do it.
That's right.
They'll say they're going to do it, but they're not going to do it.
They don't mind taking us back and making us a third world country, but they don't. By doing all of this, by eliminating fossil fuels, by going back to, and I'm not saying people shouldn't live more off the land, grow your own stuff. I mean, I'm 100% in agreement of that.
Right.
But and I'm also in 100% agreement of clean water. And I mean, it's crazy. They think we're not. I mean, I don't want the earth harmed. But don't tell me that I'm the guy doing it.
Right.
When you're out flying your jet 700 times a year. Just don't give me that bullshit. Hypocrisy,
look,
Jim.
Like I said, we can do recycling, we can do all this stuff and that's what we do. A lot of us do it.
Have you ever seen where the recycling stuff goes, by the way? I'm just saying.
No, that's a good question though. That's enough on that topic. Let's move to the next one.
We're moving on, Jim. Thank you. Well, Jim, this is something that would most likely piss most people off, minus the whack job, liberal, left, pro-abortion folks. There is an amended California bill.
This is horrible.
With a loophole allowing for, I'm going to say, didn't we just go over this? Infanticide, something. Yeah.
Killing of infants.
Killing of infants. Let me just, this could get a little confusing, but probably not. You'll get the whole gist of it. Assembly Bill 2223 in California passed the Assembly Health Committee in a vote of 11-3 on past Tuesday, moving the bill, which several legal experts believe creates a loophole for infanticide, to a third House committee. Let's get into this. If their baby is stillborn due to drug use or a pregnancy-related complication, the wording of the bill, some say, allows a loophole for infanticide. Following an April 6 amendment, the bill states, and I'll read this, notwithstanding any other law, a person shall not be subject to civil or criminal liability or penalty, or otherwise deprived of their rights under this article, based on their actions or omissions with respect to their pregnancy or actual, potential, or alleged pregnancy outcome, including miscarriage, stillbirth, or abortion, or perinatal death due to a pregnancy-related cause. That's the key phrase. I'll say it again. Perinatal death due to a pregnancy-related cause. Now, the bill fails to define what is meant by perinatal death or pregnancy-related cause. No definition of what that means, which means that abortion survivors, preterm babies, or babies with health complications may be left to die, according to several legal experts. The perinatal period is defined differently by different medical groups and can extend as long as 24 months. That's 2 years after the child's birth, but is widely accepted as extending at least 28 days. So the general rule of thumb is a month after the child's birth. That's still murder.
See, they keep changing.
Still
See,
murder.
Because we sit here and fight that once you hear the heartbeat, that's life, right? Actually, we feel life is as soon as it's conceived, right? That's conception.
A conception.
But so now the liberals say, well, it's only the size of a pea, whether it has a heart or not, no big deal. Let's abort it. So then we come and now we do the partial birth abortions where half the head comes out and then they do whatever. And I'm not even going to say what they do, but don't look it up because it's very disturbing.
It's disturbing.
So now, and we knew this was coming, right? Because eventually they're going to get to after the fact. A parent doesn't want a child.
This leaves it wide open.
All they got to do is make up, well, for health purposes, my child was not healthy. So you take it to Planned Parenthood. The baby was suffocated. The baby was beaten. You take it to Planned Parenthood, they'll hide it. Guarantee you, and I don't care if people come back and say, oh, you can't say that. Yes, they will.
Yes,
they will hide it on the pretense of this law that any child up to 2 years old, any child can be brought into a Planned Parenthood or something like that that's pro-abortion. And it'll be, well, the child died of sudden death syndrome or the child died of this and not
correct. It'll be SIDS. It'll be SIDS related or whatever. Listen, the bill would also further cement existing California laws that prevent the prosecution of mothers who deliver stillborn babies due to drug use or pregnancy-related causes. As reported by the AP, Adora Perez spent 4 years in prison for the death of her stillborn baby due to her using drugs during her pregnancy. She was charged with murder and agreed to plead no contest to a manslaughter charge to avoid a longer prison sentence. That sentence saying this bill now saying there is no crime in California of manslaughter of a fetus. The judge sent the case back to the district attorney's office, which is now seeking the murder charge. Anyways, that kind of thing, and that's a touchy subject, right? The mother's on drugs. She murdered her baby. I don't know how else to tell you. It was her choice to take the drugs. Nobody forced her to do the drugs. Nobody forced her to do any of this. She murdered her baby. But go on.
Well, just remember Lacey Peterson, right? That horrible Scott where he killed her. There was debate whether or not they were going to charge him for the death of Connor.
A double murder.
The unborn baby.
Correct.
And I think there was so much outrage because she wanted that baby.
Correct.
So then they actually did. He was convicted of both counts of murder. And
as he should have been.
As it should have been.
As it should have been. Assembly Bill 2223, if it becomes law, would allow women to sue prosecutors for charging them with a crime related to their baby's death. District attorneys could face a fine of $25,000, a threat that could, in theory, prevent them from investigating the deaths of babies, even if that child's death occurred under suspicious or illegal circumstances. Now, I'll kind of finish with this, and we can kind of get into why they're allowed to pass this law. But anyways,
they're idiots.
In California, under this law, AB 2223, former Philadelphia abortionist Kermit Gosnell, who murdered 3 infants born alive after botched abortions, could not be prosecuted.
Right.
So he couldn't be prosecuted under this law. And incredibly, someone like Gosnell, who helped a California mother kill her newborn after birth, will actually have a cause of action to sue police for investigating the matter. So even investigating the matter and or prosecuting this, and up to 2 years, and you know, even though it's still murder, but as it is generally considered 4 weeks after is how the law, that because it allows up to 2 years, there's going to be a whole shit ton of this stuff coming out.
I don't even want to imagine what's going to happen.
I don't either now. But Jim, tell us why California is allowed to do this law.
Well, because it's a state. States are entitled to do what they want. Okay.
Correct.
I don't agree with this at all, where now you're going to be able to kill up to a 2-year-old kid.
Not even close.
If that's what the idiots want to elect the people in this state to allow to do, we have no control over it. Move. Hey, we'll take you in Indiana. Just don't bring your politics.
Correct.
Shit. What destroyed your state, don't move it to another state, idiots. But anyway.
Like DeSantis said, don't New York or Florida.
Yeah, okay? Leave your liberal issues where they're at, where it failed, which is why you're leaving. Which is why
you're moving.
Because California, they're, if I'm not mistaken, they've lost. Anyway, that's another story for another day. But they're losing people. Okay, so but everybody's doing this because of the Supreme Court, right? They think the Supreme Court's going to overrule Roe v. Wade, and the Supreme Court might say, you know what, this isn't a federal issue.
They should.
It's a state issue. It. So we are going to overrule Roe v. Wade from the federal guideline, and we're going to make each state decide what you want to do.
As it should be.
Yeah. Now, I don't agree with killing infants up to 2 years old.
Of course not.
But if that's the case, can we handpick adults to abort?
I was going to say.
Wait a minute. That's murder.
That's murder. Hello.
Anyway.
I mean, so to be honest, back to this, if they're allowed to do this up to 2 years old, I mean, to me, and we've talked about it, Jim, it's the progressive far left wing movement, giving them an inch, they take a mile, they go to the extreme on everything. This is beyond extreme. How could they? It passed 11-3. Of course, 11 Democrats, 3 Republicans. It passed 11-3, and there's 11 of the. And what's even sadder about it is that those 11 have now decided that you can murder babies up to 2 years old. 11 people, 11 Democrats in the state of California have decided.
They're going to come out and say, "Oh, that's not what we say." But they're opening it up to allow people to do this.
There's nothing in there that clarifies when they can.
And it's sick. It's just sick. But
it's sick.
States
are allowed to
do what they want to do.
Exactly. So as we report and as you and I support the Floridas and the Texases and the laws that they're doing, Alabama, I think, just came out with it too.
Yep. I think Alabama actually came out before
Governor Ivey. I don't know if you know her or not, but she looks like everybody's grandma. She's a hoot, that one. But anyway, so there's other states doing it and all that. And as we have to support and applaud those, I would be hypocritical if I said you're not allowed to do that in
Correct.
California.
Right.
I don't agree with it, but unfortunately, if we're going to be a sovereign nation as we are, the states have a right to do that. So, Jim, that's all I have on it.
Yeah.
Again, I'm sure there'll be follow-ups as this story grows. I don't even know how many people know about it, to be honest with you. It's not getting the news, and it should be, And of course, Planned Parenthood is fully behind this.
Of course.
Can you imagine that?
Of course.
Jim, let's move on to our final segment of the show today.
Yeah, and it may not take very long, but I think now would be a good time for us to maybe add our 2 cents, if you will, after we go over some of this stuff. Because what I'm going to report on is AOC, I know I talked about her earlier with the new Green Deal, but she just continues down her path, right? Well, she was reported in telling her constituents, which most of the people that are going to vote for her, they're idiots anyway.
Correct.
But AOC now says that Republicans can't win the midterm elections because if they do, we're going to overturn the 2020 election, and things like January 6th is going to happen all over the country. The reason I laugh, folks,
I can't even.
Do you remember all the riots that we had from Black Lives Matter, from Antifa, from all of these groups that went around and did one incident? And right now, if you please look up the January 6th, look at the video of
research and
Capitol Police letting people in. Okay, armed Capitol Police letting people in.
Letting look at it, people in.
Exactly. So just look it up. Okay, so whether you think it happened, but let's say that it did happen, and let's say that conservatives did it. One incident. Yeah. Okay. Minnesota was burnt to the ground, basically. Portland, Oregon, burnt to the ground. Seattle, Los Angeles, Chicago. As a matter of fact, Chicago's still on fire. But
that's right.
So she says that it's going to happen all over the country.
That's because of climate change, Chicago.
So now here's what I say. Okay, when Donald Trump was president, outside of the January 6th, what issues did we cause?
I'm trying to figure out. He had that man had rallies, and they're continuing to have rallies where 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people show up without incident.
Oh, well,
without any incidents.
There was another one. There was this one thing in Minnesota where these protesters. Oh wait, that was Black Lives Matter. Okay, there was an incident in Portland, Oregon, where people were just destroying buildings. That was Antifa. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
She is. Yep. I mean, I'm sorry. I always say ignorant, but at some point in time, we're going to have to change it to stupid. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, correct.
And stupid. I'm not going to insult the fact that she was a bartender. I'm not going because bartender's a great profession. That's not what I'm saying. But her education, in terms of just because she's pretty, and just because she speaks the way the progressives want to speak, doesn't mean she's qualified to be in our government. Okay,
she's nowhere near qualified.
I don't think Mitch McConnell should be in our government anymore.
I don't either.
So don't sit there. I don't want to hear people say, "Oh, you just say about." No, Mitch McConnell needs to go too. Okay,
correct.
But my whole point is, AOC sits there and she talks about, and let's go to overturning the election. Can't happen. There is no way that can happen, because in order to do that, we're going to have to change. Just think of the money that it's going to take to take them out and put Trump back in, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
It's not happening.
And that's not what yes, there are some people out there, okay, that want it to overturn, that want to put Trump in, that want to do that. There are people out there. They are. But they're few and far between. I would like him back in office, but I know it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
The realistic portion is it's not going to happen.
And how many times do you and I have to say, we want this fixed for the next election?
Absolutely.
That's all. Just fix it.
That's all.
But to sit there and say that January 6th is going to happen all over after what we witnessed with all the destruction of these cities by Black Lives Matter and Antifa supporters, she has the gall to say this.
Correct.
Because nobody that she says it to is going to call her out on it. No one is.
That's right.
Again,
Nobody is.
Hypocrisy. It's
Hypocrisy.
It's all about that. And so, and do you have?
I mean,
that?
yeah. Well, I just know that they she's a really good talker of talking points.
Mm-hmm.
She knows how to placate to her base for sure. And was all she's doing there. Why it amazes me, and a lot of politicians do this on both sides of the aisle. They'll spew their talking points, but very few of them have the ability to persuade the other side to come over.
Right.
What usually happens, and this happens with all politicians, I'm not just going to say her, and I'm not going to say, it's just Democrats or it's just, but they all play to their base. They all want the rah-rah moment. This is who I'm going, these are my supporters. This is going to be an easy say. It's an easy sell to them. But very few can say here and don't anymore say, here's my position, but here's why. And here's why. And you can't have that debate anymore like that. I'm not even blaming the politicians for doing it because there's no longer conversations with people. There's no longer civil debates. It's either, we're taking away Disney's tax rights. You're a rat. You're a son of a bitch, Ron DeSantis. You're a dictator. Whoa, 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 whoa. Why not ask the questions? Why not say, well, what harm would it do if you do take it away? What's the benefit to Florida? What is the disadvantage to Disney if that happens? Can we talk about this? Can we find out what that's about? It's just scream from one side or scream from the other anymore, which is really a shame because this is a great country. Yeah. And we used to be able to have debates.
Still is.
And that's what I said. This is a great country. It's
how do you always – go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead and finish.
No, it's just to your point. I mean, it's a great country. We used to be able to have a civil debate. There was, you could watch the Ronald Reagan, Walter Mondale debates, and just the debate back and forth between those two was a mutual respect. It was not mudslinging. It wasn't. It was talking points. It was almost enjoyable to watch, and you can make up your mind. Now it's everything, and it has been for some time now, is just hate-filled everything. Everything is hate-filled.
How do you know?
And that's not our country. Our country is not built on that.
And you know this more than anybody because of your, some of your fights you've had on Facebook. When I was gone from Facebook.
Yes, you were.
There was, how do you know you beat a liberal in a debate?
Well, they call you a name. They call you racist.
Calling you names. They start insulting you because
it's immediate.
So, and I'm just giving you guys, and this goes for conservatives or liberals alike.
Yeah.
So, if it's Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis or whoever the idiots are going to get the Democrats to run, as soon as you start insulting the person that you're debating, calling them names and doing this and doing that, you've lost the debate.
You lost the debate.
But we have
You're no longer persuasion. I'm no longer listening when you do that.
Right. But we have people
that's in marriage. That's in everything. You start slinging names. You start slinging, profanities. You start doing that. I'm out. You've lost me. I'm no longer listening.
So the first debate Donald Trump had against Hillary Clinton, right? Remember? Yeah. I was actually embarrassed. Yeah. I didn't like it. I didn't like the way he was going. There was better ways he could have attacked her. There was better ways he could have done it. What happened on the second debate?
Yeah, I mean, it was issues.
Much better. It was on the issues where she then started on the personal attacks because that's all she could do.
That's all she could do.
They can't defend their stance. They can't. Just like
can't.
Joe Biden. He can't defend what's going on in this country because –
Correct.
Why? Well, it's Putin's fault. It's Trump's fault. Or it's all of this stuff. It's not the fact that he has ruined the supply chain. Him and Mayor Pete, they've completely ruined the supply chain, and now they're paying people to stay home that aren't going to come back to work.
They're ruining the food chain too.
Yeah, and he shut down the pipeline before this war was even started. Yep. He shuts down the pipeline. He does all this stuff, but it's never his fault.
Correct.
And it's but that's what they tell him to say. And
Yeah.
But with that, real quick, Spotify, the Obamas had a podcast, and it's a contract. So the Obamas decided that we're not going to go on Spotify anymore. No, that's not what happened. Spotify did not renew the contract. So if you're listening to CNN, you're listening to MSNBC, or you're listening to the blowholes, the Obamas, they were fired. They were fired because did you know they had a podcast? I had no clue they had a podcast. I had no clue.
No clue. You're right.
Nor did I care because I probably wouldn't have listened to it anyway. But
would not have.
So again, Spotify is fighting against that woke movement. But guess what? You can find on Spotify. I went through a list of it, and you can find liberal shows, and you can find conservative shows.
Correct.
Huh. Yep. And if you try to tell them that you should take so-and-so off, they take you off.
Yep. As it should be.
As it should be. So people support Spotify.
I would.
This is a company just like the state of Florida that's fighting against wokeism. Correct. And these businesses are going to learn a hard lesson. Amazon right now is not going to, because right now there's no one that can compete with them with what they do. Okay. So
they're still dropping like flies.
Yes, they are, because there's other people coming out. And so sell your product. And if you're going to donate to those causes, fine. I don't care. Donate to those causes, but donate to other causes too. Or if I'm going to go into a Target and this particular day is 15% goes to any LGBTQ fundraiser or whatever. What word am I looking for? Oh, this is terrible.
Yeah, donation or something.
But it's tell me. Then if I choose to go, then I'll go. But
if I choose not to, then I don't.
But when somebody asks you, okay, let's do a day like that for Wounded Warriors, and they say no, that's where I got a problem.
That's where I got a problem.
That's the problem. Have the one for the LGBTQ. I don't care.
Help yourself.
Don't care.
That's right.
Have one. Why not have one for which?
Exactly.
We've talked about this before. These conservative fundraising or these conservative groups, most of the money, and I'm talking almost all of it, Tunnel to Towers, Wounded Warriors, almost all that money goes to what it's supposed to go to.
Correct.
Okay. Not like Black Lives Matter, where it goes to $1 million homes and mansions that are arts getaways.
Sure. Yeah.
So anyway, it's just I love it when Spotify stood up, and so you're going to hear this, but people, you heard it from us. The Obamas were fired by Spotify because they weren't getting the viewership. There was a contract,
correct,
and in that contract, I'm sure it says you get this money for coming on and putting your podcast on here, but if you don't meet a certain criteria, you're done.
Correct.
The Obamas were fired. I wish they would have been fired 8 years ago, but
me too. Me too.
Hey, we didn't have that luxury. But guess what? We didn't scream. We didn't cry. We didn't want him impeached. Well, we would love to have him impeached, but there was no reason to impeach him at the time yet. Until we find out more of what this Russian. Just folks, pay attention to the Durham report. That's all I'm going to say.
That's all I'm going to say. Jim, excellent show again.
Yes.
From you on location.
You as well, on location.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, thank you, sir. A couple things I want to say. First of all, thank you again to the listeners. We really do appreciate it. Yeah, thank you very, very much for listening and commenting. Please find us on YouTube and on Rumble and on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. And also iHeartRadio, and give us a 5-star review.
Yeah, I know.
You don't necessarily have to write the review, but if you like what you heard, give us a 5-star review. It that really helps, and I can't preach that enough, to be honest.
And if you listen to us on Rumble, great. We really appreciate that, and keep doing it because Rumble's great, right?
Yeah.
But I don't believe they do rating systems. So, but Apple does. Yeah. And Spotify does. So if you go out and just go out to Spotify once, listen to us, go out to Apple once, listen to us, and give us a 5-star rating, then other people who are looking for podcasts, those 5-star ratings stand out.
Correct.
So it's very helpful. And so, because we like what we're doing. We feel we are average guys speaking
just
what
giving
we
an
feel.
opinion.
And because we're not lawyers, we're not, the Joe Rogans of the world. We're just two guys trying to make a podcast work. So, but thank you for listening. We have a lot of loyal listeners, and we love them to death.
We do.
And
we do.
great.
We do. Absolutely. On Thursday's show, we have an interview.
This is exciting.
That we'll be playing. You're going to want to stay tuned to that. We won't, tell you who it is right at the moment, but you're going to want to watch or listen to that. It's interesting, and it's this person is an interesting person. Spot on. Spot on. So pay attention to that on Thursday. Again, everybody, thank you for your listenership. And again, please like, comment, share, find us anywhere by just looking up Two Guys, One Coup, and supporting us. And we really appreciate it. Jim, phenomenal show as usual.
You too as well, sir.
We'll see you on Thursday.
All right. Bye.
Adios. Bye.